Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. And I've been talking a lot, especially over the past few months, about how science and spirituality and technology are all sort of converging. And we have things like AI and quantum computing and all these different things that are taking concepts that were once just theory or woo woo, and it's proving them. And so I'm really excited for today's guest. I have Heather Askinosie on, who's a frequency expert, but she's also the co-founder of Energy Muse. And Energy Muse creates one of the things they create are frequency generators, which I feel like that is the perfect example of taking something that was once considered woo-woo and using technology to prove that like this stuff it works and there are measurable effects. So I can't wait to dive into everything, but Heather, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. I feel that you're a like-minded sister, and I'm so excited to be in your presence. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So quick manifestation story before we dive in. In my program, Quantum Catalyst, we talk about energy and frequency and vibration all the time. But there was one particular call where we were talking about frequencies, like the different Solfeggio frequencies. And Chantel, one of the girls in the program, she shows me this frequency generator. And she was like, Stephanie, you have to get one of these. Like, they're amazing. And so I've had this on my mind. Um, and the other day I was thinking, because my birthday is coming up, and my mom always asks, like, is there anything I can get you? And I thought this would be a perfect, thing to ask for my birthday. So I like jotted it down. I'm like, I'll remember to mention it. And not that long after, your team reached out. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, Energy Muse, where do I know that name? And then I'm like, oh, the frequency generator. And so I'm like, yeah, I definitely feel like I called this in, but I'm excited. I feel like we're very aligned on everything. So if you don't mind, maybe you can walk us through what led you to discovering these unique ways that you work with energy, because this is different from what most people talk about. I know you like combine crystals with activated number sequences, and then you have this, technology that generates frequencies. So how did you figure all of this stuff out? What led you down this road?
So I considered myself more like a spiritual scientist. I'm very, very curious about a lot of things, and I'm very open-minded, and I'll try a lot of different things. I mean, you name it, I've tried it because I'm curious. And I stay with things for me that work for me. I'm very much about formulas and hacking time and just being trained, retraining. I call it was rebrainwashing myself for where I'm in the flow. And so, about, I would say 30 years ago, I got on my journey, my spiritual journey. My background was in feng shui. So I learned about feng shui, classical feng shui, which is based upon mathematics because I was selling high-end real estate at the time. And so I would go in and I would read houses based on mathematical calculations. And what would happen was I was able to let me stop this. Dismiss. I was able to sell houses because I knew how to read the energy based on mathematical formulas. I would activate where the water and whatever. So what happened was from there, I ended up getting into learning about crystals and working with formulas, crystal formulas to have people wear things to shift their energy levels so that they can manifest or bring into their life what they wanted to create. So on this journey of many years, and that's what Energy Muse is based on, is formulaic crystal sequences that you could wear and patterns to help shift energy. And I'm very much about, I feel in this world that we live in, we all kind of need to be our own scientists, where I don't know if science is going to validate a lot of these things. So instead of us waiting for science to catch up with the spirituality, my whole thing is be empowered. try these devices or try whatever you want to try and document it. What happens for 14 days? And you don't have to be like, you just one sentence a day. What happened? Were there synchronicities? You become more aware of how you are a creator and what you are creating when you become very present into your life. And so what happened was I came across these devices because I had hit a plateau for myself. I've been working with manifestations, I've been working with crystals, subconscious reprogramming, you name it. And I came across these devices and I realized for me that it started to work with my consciousness at a different way than crystals. All this stuff is layers. So the more you layer on different things, you're going to have different outcomes. And for me, the devices took everything to the next level because I realized that I was able to track my head a little bit more and realize the looping going on or things that were happening. So the devices are like a tuning fork and they don't have sound coming out of them, but they have, I'll just show you one. They look like little coasters. I don't know if you could see it. And what you do is you just plug them in and they handle about 308 square feet radius and they create, it's almost like you're tuning a radio to a signal. Okay. And so what will happen is for me, knowing feng shui and blueprints of homes, I felt that it was restructuring the blueprint of the energy of a room. And so what would happen is when I'd walk into a room that had a device going on, I came into a certain energetic field and I started to shift my own energy. So it was almost as if these helped the environment to shift. And when I was in the environment, then I started to shift. And so I was like, how can this help more people where nobody wants one more thing to do? Like, I don't know
Right.
about you. Oh my God, I have one more thing to do. So what was happening is that I had to see if these things worked. So I went to my favorite energies of all, babies and animals and horses. And so I started working with the devices to see would babies sleep better? What was happening, because I work on horses a lot, and horses for me are very aligned. They feel energy. And I saw how when the horses were in the field of these devices, their nervous system started to release and regulate. And I also noticed that when I had them in rooms, the animals, because what I have found personally in the world of manifestation for me personally is that when my nervous system is a lot more um, regulated, I can manifest faster because I'm in a calmer state. And that's why I feel these devices are game changing in the world of what we are doing. I feel as if they do magical things because we shift. And I feel like every human being needs one.
I love so much of what you said. I completely agree. And my one of my biggest problems with the manifestation space or even like the self-development space is there's such an emphasis on doing something. Like you were saying, we don't need one more thing to do. But I see people time and time again that will take something that's meant to be a tool to help you shift your energy and it'll turn into a chore. And now all of a sudden, there's this like frantic or overwhelmed energy, which just creates manifesting more overwhelm, more of that, frantic feeling. And if we can instead regulate and calm our nervous system and manifest from that state, that's what's going to bring it in because it doesn't matter what we say if our vibration and our energy is not aligned whatsoever. So, and the other thing that I like that you said is we cannot wait for science to catch up. Science is always far behind all of this stuff. So treat it like your own science experiment. That's what I do with any new tool is I will try it and I will keep an open mind, just like you're doing a science experiment. I'm not going to go in biased. And then I'm just going to see the results. So, can you talk about that a little bit? Like, first of all, I know there's different frequencies that your generators have. Can you maybe give a few examples of them and talk about some of the things you might expect if you're listening to this um, repeatedly? And is there a time frame? Like, do you listen to it for a certain number of days before you start to notice a difference? Maybe give a little bit of info on that.
Okay. So, so ours have no sound. So basically, it's just an electromagnetic field, kind of like Nikola Tesla. It's
Mhm.
almost acts as a broadcasting device. With once you go into the energetic field of it, the toroidal field of it, because each one has a coil. So in the middle of this coil is this kind of signal that just permeates into an environment. And the thing that's great about it is you could work with it any way you want. For somebody that wants sleep, we are at the 7.83 Schumann resonance, although now the Schumann resonance is not at 7.83. But if we're just going to NASA, like, scientific data of at one point, the Schumann resonance is 7.83. So for most people, that's a very grounding energy. That would be a great energy to plug into your bedroom next to where you're sleeping. It's where what I first started with animals because it's a very simple, gentle, soft energy. And so you could just plug it in. Now,
Do
as
you,
we,
sorry to interrupt, but I'm just
yeah.
curious, like in your home, do you just keep it plugged in all the time, or is this something you do in short spurts? Like what's the best way to
So,
do that?
so what I do is I keep it in like my house, once again, my house is a science project. But I have them plugged in all the time. There's one called 417 that I want to talk a little bit about. I literally sell that out within seconds and waiting eagerly till it comes back in. But I'll go over that in a minute. But the thing about these devices is that you could just plug them in and they're going to work. And the cool thing about it is, even if you don't believe in it, it's still going to have a frequency effect. But as we all know, with anything in life, where we put our energy and focus is usually how things are created. And so I kind of look at it like an AI prompt. The person who knows how to prompt well, and you don't have to prompt if when you want to prompt in AI, I'm bringing it up just as because we're moving into a different, I mean, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
But if you're prompting, you don't have to prompt 20 different times the same thing. But you want to be clear on your prompt that one time to get the data that you want, right? So for me, that very first time you use a device, prompt it. What do you want? I would like to have deeper sleep. You just are, you're thinking about intentionally what you want to program the quantum field with so that the blueprint of that energy starts to change. And so the prompt, what I've found in the new world that we're moving into is the people that have the better sleep have an intention of where they want their sleep to go. I know there's a lot of time travelers, or there's a lot of people that are like, I wake up and I feel like I'm exhausted. Well, have you prompted yourself that you're protected and shielded at night? Have you prompted yourself that you want a restful sleep? I even sometimes am like, I'm going to go to the pyramids of Egypt and be in a temple where they're going to be restoring me through the evening. Or I want to time travel or whatever to a ascended master and download those teachings at night. I know this sounds, I've been playing with this lately, and I have to tell you, it's amazing what's happening. So for those that are kind of curious and open-minded, try it out for a little bit. But I do feel that those of us who have an intention before we sleep on how we want to wake up is very, very great with these devices. Okay, so you can plug and play, or you can use them with intention and see what happens as well. But once again, track what happens. Are you dreaming more? Did you wake? You're just being aware. God, did I wake up a little bit more alert? That first 8 minutes when you wake up, that's like you're still in hypnosis. That's when you want to start programming and do all these things. Um, So that's like the first one, 7.83. I also like to put the 7.83. I'm very sensitive to EMFs. A lot of people are. I find that a 7.83 next to my modem with a piece of shungite on it, it's not going to take the EMF away. It might neutralize it a bit. It's not going to return the spin around, but it will neutralize it a bit if it helps. And so I like to add the 528. My husband sleeps with this on his side. For me, I like the 528 on my side of the bed. So we have a couple of them running in the same room, but this one's a very soft one, but I like it for the DNA repair. And I like all of them with what I'm finding for me, it's all about frequency, sacred geometry, light, and sound and intention. In my opinion, that's where the 5D world's going. But this one I love in the bedroom as well.
Yeah. Okay. So sacred geometry, I don't want to get us like too off in the weeds, but
Okay.
since you brought it up, I'm just super curious. Um, so looking into like cymatics, have you seen those
Mhm.
cymatics
Mhm.
experiments? That's basically where if you take one of these frequencies that you're talking about and you connect it to like a speaker and you put sand or salt or something on it, it will create these sacred geometric patterns. And what blows my mind is these sacred geometric patterns is what you will see in the stained glass of cathedrals that were built in like ancient times. And to me, that is just absolutely mind blowing. And I feel like there's so much we still don't understand about this, but I know it's powerful. And that's why I'm so obsessed with these frequencies because I'm like there's clues in history that there's something really important here. And I think they're very healing. Um and so anyhow, I just had to bring that up really quick in case anyone hasn't heard that before.
We're the only ones in the world because I'm one of those people that when something works, I want everyone to know about it because I'm
Mhm.
so excited and I am a researcher and that's what I do. Like people, my husband will be looking at podcasts and I'm reading Nikola Tesla's patents at night. You know what I mean? Like, that's so good. But every single frequency has a sacred geometry that I have studied that will activate the numbers, because everything in
Mhm.
the universe comes down to numbers.
Mhm.
So mentioned that because even when I was doing feng shui, it was all based on mathematics. Even if you look at your natal chart, it's all on degrees and mathematics. Everything comes down, even us as crystalline structures, mathematical components help us to sometimes I'll program myself with a number code
Mhm.
because my subconscious will understand that, or a word, it might go into other modalities. But bringing back this, what I've done or here is that I've put a fixed frequency with the sacred geometry, so you don't even have to think, but it's cutting multi layers of the quantum field, or it's hacking the energy because that's my background is environments. So I know how to go in. So when you're in the field's affecting you, whether you know it or not, with the tuning of the number frequency 7.83, 528, 960, all of the solfeggio numbers. And on top of that, the sacred geometry. And on top of that, you work with what you're doing on the apps with the different hemispheres and working with that. You right now are recoding your subconscious mind at such a fast level that you're becoming light years ahead. You're hacking time of like, but you're not doing it in an aggressive way. You're doing it in a very fluid way of just being in a field that you're interacting with. And
Yeah.
that for me is this change because I'm not making anything happen. I know where my intention is. I do it one time in the morning. I'm in the field and I let it go.
Mhm.
And I observe. Hey. And then you're like, wow, I really do live in a matrix. Whoa.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, I can create these things out of thin air. Wow, document.
And with ease. And I feel like that's this big shift that we're all feeling that's been taking place is it's like our whole lives we were so conditioned to believe things like success comes from hard work, from sacrifice, from blood, sweat, and tears, and that everything has to be hard and has to be, you have to do a lot in order to reach a goal. And now I think we're really shifting into what you're talking about, where it just flows and it doesn't have to be hard. It can be easy. And actually, when your nervous system is calm and not in a state of constant stress and panic, things happen quicker, easier, and there's less resistance. And I just feel like this is where we're headed as a whole. And I think there's people like you that are already like there, but I feel like the masses are catching up with this concept now and really starting to, implement it. And tools like this are only going to help that move forward quicker. Um, Something else I thought about when you were talking, when you mentioned the 528, a while back, maybe a year ago, I had a psychic medium on the podcast, and at the time, I have like weird things that happen at night. Like one of the things that's recurring is I can feel like something, when someone like jumps in bed or like the dog hops on the bed, and you can feel that. This happens to me all the time, and I'll look expecting to see one of my kids, and no one's there. And sometimes it doesn't bother me. Other times it freaks me out. So I was asking her, when this happens, like, is there something I can do just quickly? Because it's really like, I don't want to get in like this fearful state before I go to sleep. And she was saying, take a 528 tuning fork and it will like cleanse the energy, like anything that's scary or whatever, it'll kind of, bounce it away or whatever. And so now I'm thinking with this 528, I can just keep this on all night as I sleep and all this weird stuff that's happening. Maybe, I'm envisioning it like protecting me, like creating this protective field where
Hmm.
I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to go to bed afraid or wake up freaked out because something weird happened. So it's just very interesting.
So I came up with one, and it's the 417 frequency, which you might be aware of, which is about like clearing and purifying. So this one is the 417 because a lot of people, what I have found, there's a lot of distortion that happens because many people are on fear porn, looking at the phone that's all day hitting the pineal gland, going into the environment because we're walking around with screens that are emitting. So this one is powerful. It's the 417. You put it on in an environment and you let it run for about 3 to 4 days. It is as if you are going in and turbo cleaning the whole energy and anything that is of lower vibration, however you want to identify that as, does not resonate with this frequency. And I call it digital sage, but it's stronger than that. And it just, whoop, and it almost brings your environment back to a blank canvas. So then, once the energy is cleared of distortion, then we play around, turn off the 417. I'd highly suggest you invest in these if you have a house or whatever. You run it once a month, maybe every new moon, you put it on for 3 days. It's just a ritual. You're clearing. You know how you clean your house? You clean, 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 turn them off. And then when your house is fresh, then you activate, like you said, with the 528. So I would love to see you play around with this because you're attuned. Try the 417 in your bedroom for about 3 days, clear the energy and clear. Then add the 528 in it afterwards and see, and you track. You know how your sleep is, so it's not, you're gonna know if it's gonna work or not.
Yeah.
You will know right away if you're sleeping better. Most people are responding that the 417, it clears things out. Now, as you know, going through this journey, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. Okay. So if things, and what I've noticed with the frequency, we have stuff in our auric field. It's there. Maybe it's not going to happen for 4 months, but what will happen is these devices bring things up quicker, but you're dealing with things quicker. Instead of 3 months, oh my God, 3 days. But you're working through these frequencies, these belief systems, these subconscious whatever, and it starts to clear out the energy field.
Okay. So one thing that comes to mind, you mentioned that you've used these around horses, right? Because
I
I have a
have.
dog. Like, are these all fine for pets? Because that's a
Oh
question
my
I'm
God.
sure we're gonna get.
That's another thing. Okay, so that's who that's okay. I love animals. I'm that person. I love animals of all. I just love them. So I find that the animals, because they don't have all this human stuff, they're so pure. Watch where your animals go in the room. Watch how they respond to a room with frequency in them. Okay? They're curious. Just track your animal. You will see just through them. That's how I knew because I had to go to pure frequency to see and watch and track. And then babies, how babies were sleeping in the room once they got cleared. But animals are they're very curious and just watch your animal of how they respond to the frequency. They love it.
Okay,
They do.
good. Yeah. In my office, it's where I just have a ton of crystals in there. And that's where you'll find my dog all the time, like laying in the office. The kids will take their toys from a completely other area of the house and bring it into the office to play in
Yay.
there. And I'm just like, you can just feel it. And they don't know, they don't, but they're drawn to that. And so again, it's just more of for myself, proof and validation. Not that I really need it anymore, but this stuff is powerful and you can feel it and you can, see a difference. So maybe you can just, and I know you've kind of talked about this again, but like when someone is listening to this and they are like, okay, I want to try this. Um, the Schumann is for if you want to calm down, you want
So,
better sleep. The 417's for clearing. Is there one where you're like, this is the one you should start with?
okay. So I would start gentler because the lower numbers are a little bit gentle on the solfeggio spectrum.
Mhm.
So you have the 7.83, which is for better sleep. And the thing that is at Energy Muse on our website, we really go into for anyone that just wants information, like you're curious and you're like, I need more information, know that the data is there and information's there. So if you
Okay.
need more info. We have one, the 528, which is accelerated manifestation. I put the Sri Yantra on there as sacred geometry on that one. I have one for 639, which is emotional balance, more harmony. We have the 963 hertz, which is about mental downloads. We have the 174 for pain. We have the 417, like I said, for clearing. I have a new one that's going to launch at the end of this month that I'm so excited about. I'm like been eagerly awaiting this one, but it's going over. It's into the thousands. It's the 1111. It's
Mhm.
a portal opening. And so anyway, playing around with these, I have a fanny pack, and I actually, because I'm an empath, I am very, I'm learning how to navigate large groups of people and this and that. So I will wear a frequency device on me at times when I go into certain environments. I have one in my car. I will never, I love these things. They are amazing. If you are a crystal lover, as myself, the 417, you put them in a room, it's going to clear, crystals absorb. They absorb. They're like having a plant in your house. You've got to take care of them. They want attention. You need to clear them. I find the 417 clears them. But the reason why I think frequency is number one importance right now, we're in a frequency. Those who keep their frequency high in today's world of as we shift from what's happening here, what's being thrown at us.
Mhm.
It is vital that we stay in the light and we stay above it all. And it doesn't mean we're checking out, we're just not getting entangled. Because when we are in the light and of higher frequency, and life is happening, granted, if you've got kids and you've got family members, if you're okay, there's times when maybe your family members or what there's going on. Someone has to hold the light for our little communities of wherever we're interacting in. These are tools that I think are so cool because they affect the environment, so they affect your environment. and it's just this positive energy frequency. And what I've noticed a lot is houses that have devices in them, when you leave and come home, you feel like you're being hugged.
Mm.
And as a feng shui person, one of the best compliments that I get from anyone is, I don't know what it is about your house, but it just feels really good in here. It's not about the decor, it's just about a feeling that when you come home and it's your sanctuary of recharging and rejuvenation, and then you go back out in the world again.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So something that I like to do, and I don't do it all the time, but it just sort of became part of like my morning routine is I'll listen to one of the subliminals in the app on my phone, but I'll take my coffee or my water, whatever it is that I have, and I'll put it on my phone just because of like water memory and everything we know with that, and let it absorb the subliminal, and then I'll drink it like as I'm thinking my intention. And I'm just sitting here thinking, you said it was like a coaster, you know?
Yeah,
It is. It's like the size of a coaster. Yeah,
so
pudding.
I don't know if you guys know Dr. Emoto. He was,
Hmm.
he's the one that, and he used to, I used to hang out with him because his office was right down the street from me.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah, so I got to learn it firsthand, but and so did my business partner. But what happens is if you take these 528s with the sacred geometry and the frequency, and you charge your water, like exactly what you said, with your subliminals, let it sit there for 33 minutes or 11 minutes. Use the number codes and drink it. It will taste different.
Hmm.
So definitely charge. I love olive oil on these. I love using them for supplements, sometimes even beauty products. I will sit on one of the frequencies and even with your subliminals. I mean, wow. Like, why would you not? This is like, yay. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so good. It's so good. We have to let everyone know about it. And it's so easy and it's affordable and it's we've just been selling these and people are so happy. And I just thank you for having the opportunity to let more people know about it because it's just, we got to get the word out. Yay.
Yeah. Well, you
Think,
mentioned Nikola Tesla earlier. He's like one of my favorite scientists. And he says, like, if we want to know the secrets of the universe, we have to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And it's funny because, I mean, over 100 years later, we're like just now kind of, it's like, oh, yeah, no, everything he said, if you use these tools and you do your own science experiments, yeah, it's lining up. It makes sense. And again, like science, the scientific community, they're going to be the last to get on board, but we can start using these things. And I just want to circle back. One other thing you said in the beginning was that yes, it's great to set an intention with it, but you don't have to believe it works in order for it to work. And I just think of so many people that reach out to me and they're like, how do I get my husband on board? He thinks all this stuff is woo-woo or whatever. This is a great tool. Put this in your home, put it around your kids, around your pets, in your community, and it doesn't matter if they know about it or not, it's still going to have an effect.
oh yeah. I mean, my husband is from Springfield, Missouri. And I mentioned that just because, I grew up in California. I mean, two different ecosystems of belief systems. So he's around all this stuff. But I have to say, he's like, these frequency devices, they've changed his sleep. He's one of the most avid believers of this. And he's just like, these are amazing. I love these things. And now he wants them at work. He has this one on his office. And so they have a way of just penetrating you. And in regards to the code of the 369 manifestation code, the number that they left off was 12. So I feel like it's important that we update that data. It's really 36912. Once again, do your own research, but play around with the 12 as well, which is what I'm playing around with these devices. It accelerates that
Mm.
number code.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. I had to just
Yeah.
tell you one other quick story just because you're into number codes. And I'm curious, have you seen, they have like declassified CIA documents that have certain number codes that are supposed to do certain things. And I
Mhm.
had learned about this like a while back, and never really gave it much thought. I'm like, whatever. But I don't know what I did to my knee. I feel like I tore something when I was working out.
Mhm.
Like it's been bad and it's not getting better. I'm like, I don't want to have knee surgery. But at night, it's throbbing. And the other night, it was so hard for me to go to sleep and it was hurting so bad. And for whatever reason, I just like remembered, hey, that one code for pain was 55515. And I started just visualizing like this healing light over my knee. And I just kept repeating 55515, like visualizing my knee in my mind's eye. The pain went away and I was able to go to sleep. Now it came back the next day, so it wasn't like it just got rid of the pain, but it did go, it went from throbbing to like gently sort of dissipating, and then I fell asleep. And so, anyhow, I looked into it some more, and that CIA document was from decades ago. I don't know, I don't remember if it was the 50s or the 70s, but it was a long time ago. In the 90s, they gene found the gene sequencing for a pain receptor, and the number for that pain receptor was 55515, like the sequencing. And I'm just like, this stuff is just wild, but I don't know, it just makes me think of what you're talking about with numbers and how it doesn't have to make sense to us
Look at
in
what
order for it
happened
to
with
work.
Rife. I mean, the Rife
Hmm.
technology.
Yeah.
Um, that person was thrown in jail. Once again, do your own research.
Hmm.
Same to the point of the person you're talking about, um, in Russia, was getting some very powerful results, but was considered a quack at the time, and it was discredited and also thrown in jail.
Hmm.
However, I think with some of these things, and even with the Monroe document, I mean, there's so many interesting things coming out, but that's why we, as empowered creators, there's so much information. You have to understand what resonates and aligns with you. But and that's why you try things and you go, hey, this vibes with me or this doesn't. And you use your own discernment. But if we live in a mathematical universe, these are some of these codes are fun to play around with, and you can find them online. And is it going to hurt you to throw out a prosperity code? Why not? Try a prosperity code, your subliminals, and a frequency device. Try it for 7 days and see what happens. If it doesn't work, you never have to do it again.
Yeah.
But there is some interesting parallels and stories with some of these people and being stripped of power and in jail of some of the information that could be quackery or maybe not. Once again, do your own research.
Yeah. Do you worry about that with your company? Has anyone reached out yet from the government to try and stop these frequency generators from getting
Well,
out?
it's interesting. I believe, yeah, we have a ton of government people that are around us. It's so very interesting. And God bless. I mean, these are just the solfeggio frequencies. It's
Yeah.
just a frequency. And so I just feel, many people are saying we're in a frequency world now, and what will heal the world or what will break through the portal energy or we see a lot of openings happening on earth right now. um so the frequency, as we elevate our frequency, and it's a daily job, right, going back in and recalibrating, restructuring. We just keep on the path of light. We are just educating people about frequency devices. They're just gentle tools. There's a much more powerful technology out there, I'm sure. At this point, no, you know, we're just trying to get the word out on these gentle frequency devices. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I am so glad that you have these and that our paths crossed because I know it's going to resonate with probably every person listening because we talk about frequency all the time. And I can't wait to do, my own experiments with it and just see, how it impacts my kids and everyone else. So, thank you so much for coming on. Um, you mentioned you were friends with Dr. Emoto. You've studied healers all over the world for like over 35 years. Is there anything, like any insight or anything we didn't cover that you want to leave with the audience before we go, or any piece of wisdom or just anything that comes to mind?
Just to remember that the light is always stronger than the dark. And on a daily basis, whatever your belief or your faith or whatever, first thing in the morning, just plug into your source, your light, and fill your body up with that. And remember that you are a creator and that you are discerning, and there's a lot of information, and to trust yourself on this interesting time to be alive, but actually magical time to be alive. And it's a time where we can create whatever we want. Just stay above it and realize that you are a powerful light source.
I love that. And I feel like we all need that reminder, especially right now. So, Heather, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. I will link the frequency generators in the show notes. Where can everyone find you if they want to follow you? Are you on social media?
Okay. Yeah, we are at energymuse.com. We're kind of known for being information people. So if you want to come and visit us, and we've got tons of information. We're on all the social platforms. And I also have a Substack I just started, which is under Heather Askinosie. And it's more about the healers and people that I meet. Some of the underground planetary things that are going on that I don't really share on Energy Muse. And would love to have you join over there
Ooh, that's
as
right
well.
up my alley. I will look into that. Thank you so much for coming on. This was amazing. And
Thank
thank you
you.
to everyone for tuning in. And I'll see you back here in the next episode.